everyone, this is Domain 9, Columbus and the Pilgrims, Lesson 2, Ferdinand and Isabella. We'll start with our vocabulary. The first word is crew, and that's a group of people that work together. For example, the ship's crew celebrated their safe arrival home. Then we have expedition, a journey made by a group of people for a special reason. For example, the scientists went on an expedition into the rainforest to find new types of plants. Our next word is rulers, and these are leaders in charge of a country or land. For example, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella were the rulers of Spain. Then our last word is shore, and that's the land along the edge of a body of water. For example, we walked on the shore looking for seashells. Now we can start our read aloud for today, and it is Ferdinand and Isabella. Now that the land route to Asia was closed, kings and queens from all over Europe began looking for the best sea route to the treasures of the East. They greedily sought to claim rare and expensive Asian spices for their own countries. The race was on. In every European port, young navigators competed to lead adventures to Asia. They were anxious to try out new lighter sailing ships that made it possible to sail faster and farther than ever before. One of these navigators was an Italian man named Christopher Columbus. Like all the others, he was an experienced sailor. What made Columbus stand out from the others was that he did not plan on reaching Asia by sailing east around the coast of Africa. He had a different idea. Christopher Columbus wanted to sail west across the Atlantic Ocean in order to reach the Indies. He visited several kings in different European countries, asking for their help. Laying out his map, he tried to convince them of his idea and that it was a good one. For many years, Columbus tried unsuccessfully to get the support of the European kings and queens. The King of Portugal refused him. That means that he wouldn't give him the money. The King of Italy refused him. The King of England refused him. Only the Spanish seemed interested in his plans to sail west across the Atlantic. But they turned him down too, because Spain was at war, and they had no time or money for Asian trade. Then, Columbus knew that he could not make a trip without their ships and their money. Now, 7 long years after Columbus first met with King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain, he became hopeful that his long wait was over at last. As he rode down over the mountains, Columbus recalled his first visit to the Great Spanish Mountains. Columbus recalled his first visit to the great Spanish city below. Spain had been at war then. Now the Spanish War was over, and the Spanish king and queen had won. Columbus hoped that the victorious royal couple, newly rich, with the treasures they had taken in war, would now have enough time, money, and attention to help him. At last, he thought he might reach his goal of sailing west to the Indies. A Spanish army officer directed him to the large fancy tents in which the king and queen were still living, for they had not even had time yet to move their army camp into the palace. Still, they were hardly suffering. Their tents contained thick, beautiful carpets and full-sized beds. The royal couple sat upon thrones brought from their palace in northern Spain. They dined off plates made of silver, eating fine foods and drinking fine wine. Their many servants were there to take care of them. Most important, with the war over, Ferdinand and Isabella were too happy and proud to complain much about anything. They smiled as Columbus bowed before them and told him to rise to his feet. Now, Christopher Columbus, said the Queen, let us talk about your plan of sailing west to the Indies. Columbus's heart leaped within him. The Queen and King must have talked it over, and now they were ready to help him act out his long-held plans. Columbus was going to search for the riches of the East by sailing west. He would be in charge of the whole fleet of ships. And that was the end of this part of the read aloud. Now we're going to move into the questions. So, number 1, did the events you heard about today happen long ago, or did it happen just a short time ago? Yeah, it was long ago. Number 2, what did Columbus think would be the best route for traveling to the Indies? Columbus thought sailing west from Europe to get to Asia would be the best route. Number 3, why did Columbus go to visit them? Columbus went to visit them to ask again for money to pay for his voyage. Number 4, after being refused by many kings, who finally agreed to give Columbus the money for his adventure? King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain. Number 5, how do you think Columbus felt when Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand finally agreed to his plan? Why do you think that? And remember, this question, you could have any answer and it's okay. It's how you think he felt. So for me, I think Columbus felt happy because he waited so long for all those plans. And now someone was finally helping, well, 2 people were finally helping him get to his dream. So this is the end of Read Aloud 2, Ferdinand and Isabella from Domain 9, Columbus and the Pilgrims. Thank you for listening.